Michel from Designer. In this video, I will show you how to add a balustrade on the arrival floor together with the correct positioning of the elements and finishing parts as the cover plate and the lower cover rail. We start this project with the drawing of our stair. In this example, we have taken a quarter-turn stair with a handrail and provided a landing step. Let's go take a look to our 2D. This is a 2D work area for our stair. The first element that we will have to add is the arrival floor. The arrival floor will be sitting here against the stair so that the stair will connect with it. How can we do this? We do a right click and we will add a landing. Here we will be able to choose the landing that fits the situation we are in. In our example, we will add a model 2. We have to extend the length of this landing because the floor is continuing for about 2500 millimeter. So we are going to extend this length. Then we press OK. Here we have the base of our arrival floor. However, we have to do some corrections. Because it is a landing step and consecutive to the first landing step, StairDesigner has now recalculated the complete stair and pushed down the first landing step due to the recalculation. Now we have to correct it, select the first landing step and bring that one back to the total height. This will correct back the calculation of the stair. By doing this, every element that you will add after the first landing step will be blocked to that height. So landing step 14 is now also sitting at a height of 2500 millimeter. Now we have to define this step or this landing as an arrival floor. We're going to select it and change some parameters. The thickness of the floor, we will set it to 300. We are going to remove the riser because it still remains a step. But we have to remove some settings and elements to make it look like a floor. We remove the nozzing and we change the material to a floor material. So these are the first settings that you do to create a floor. Let's look in 3D. That's how it looks. Now we can start to build our balustrade, as we have a balustrade that has to be sitting on the right side of the stair. As we will use existing stair elements to create a balustrade, we will have to make some corrections to be sure that the positioning will be correct. In this case, the balustrade will be built up out of a lower rail, which will be created with a springboard. A springboard can only be inside of the stairwell or outside of the stairwell. We need to have a correction so that it sits here centered on the newel. How can we do that? The only way to do it is to make a correction on the well hole. I do a double click. And I add a point just on the edge of the newel. I add a second point and I will shift outwards about half the width of the lower rail. The lower rail will be about 70 millimeter, so we will have to shift 35 millimeter. How can we do that precisely? We are looking at the position of this point. We're looking at the coordinates. This point here has a y value of 572.10. We will take the same for this one so that they get in line. Now we need here a spacing of 35. We take this position, the X position, 2296 minus 35 should be 2261. If I hover over the line, now you will see here the spacing is 35. So that's correct. We are going to do the same now at the other side. Set this point 2261. Okay. Now this has been done, we can add our handrail. We do a right click, we add an end newel post at the end of the handrail. I'm closing in, selecting, and here is the wall. So we need to have a half a newel that will be sitting against the wall. We go to a rectangular shape and we change it to 45. Now we are going to do an offset of the reference. Now the center on the reference point is here. Now we have to put it in front of that reference point. So now you shift your newel forward and it will be sitting against the wall. We say apply. Okay. This newel has now been set. Now we're going to add the handrail and selecting part 3. It will be height above nozzing 1000 millimeter for balustrade. We keep this the other settings and we put it to a straight handrail. We say OK. Now we have to add or create the lower rail. We do that with a string board. The string board will be on the same spot as the handrail. We have to change the parameters. The thickness will be 70 millimeter. The width, which will be the height of the lower rail on top of the floor, we will put it on 30 millimeter. And then to put it on top of the floor completely, we will have to take here the position above nozzing the same as the width, 30 millimeter, and also using a straight type. Now we say OK. You see that now the handrail has centered itself because the string board has positioned itself where it needs to be. So everything is now centered. We'll take a look at the 3D. So what we see now is that we have our rail sitting where it needs to be. Now we have to bring back forward our floor. And how we do that? As this is a springboard 3, we need to increase the penetration to springboard 3. So I'm selecting the floor, I'm going to the link, and this is springboard 3. There is a front recess that we don't need, and we are going to put in a depth of 35. So now it's coming forward where it needs to be, 35. There are a few other settings that can be checked now. Is how does it behave compared to the newel. The newel post is newel post 3. We select the floor, we go to newel post 3. Here also removing that front recess, and the penetration here will be 45. Same here for this newel. This is newel post 4. We select the floor. We go to the link to newel post 4, remove this, and put on 45. Okay, so now the floor has been restored, and we see now that the elements are sitting correctly. I'm going to zoom in here. There is still a small gap. I saw that here because you still have some design of the floor that is on the side of the newel. So I'm going to correct that small gap. And put it on the right spot, which is 572.50. So it's 572.50. This should now give us a clear view of our newel. So every element is already in place. Because the balustrade has a height of 1000, we need to change the height of that newel. Because due to the correction of the well hole, there is no direct link anymore between the handrail and the newel. So we know that it is 1000, so it has risen 100 millimeter. So we will have to take the top height here from the handrail and add 100 millimeters. So it will be 150. Okay. So the balustrade is now already created. Now we are going to do some finishing parts. Let's say, for example, that the front of this arrival floor is not finished and that this needs to be covered with a board. This setup makes it possible because you have the possibility to put a groove inside of that lower rail and also on the side of your newels, so that you can enclose here a covering plate. How do we create a covering plate? We're going back to the 2D. The trick to do so is to use a newel post. The newel post that suits the best to do this job is an intermediate newel post. So we're going to add a newel post, and we have to travel around with that newel post. So the best solution is always to get a newel post from the opposite side of where you are going to need it. Why do we do this? If you put it on the opposite side, it will have a link with the elements of this side, but it will never have a link with the elements on the other side. So then you can move it around and change it without affecting or creating unwanted connections. So somewhere in the middle, it doesn't need to be very precise. You're going to the other side and you click to add an intermediate newel post. Now we're going to pre-shape it already. The thickness of my cover plate will be 15 and the length will be around 1500. Somewhere I have to go check and measure. Okay, now paint white, that will be the color we'll need. Now we are going to check its position. So the top height will be on the floor, 2500. The lower part will be equal to the lower side of the floor. It's 300 millimeters, so it will be around 2200. Okay, so we already sized up that item. We will say apply. Okay, so it's sitting here. If you looked at the 3D, you see now that you already have created your cover plate, but you need to put it on the right spot. So we are going to transfer this cover plate to the other side. This has a width of a 900 millimeter. By doing a double click and hovering the line, you see it's 900 millimeter. So we're going to do a first displacement of 900 millimeter. We're going to select the item, lateral movement 900. Okay. Now to define its correct length, we will have to measure what's that total length. So we're going to hover over the length here. It's 1572.50. But we have to remove the thickness of that newel, which will be minus 45. 1572.5 minus 45. That will be 1527.5. So we change here now in the property screen the length to 1527.5. This gives us the correct length. Now we are going to check the shift. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4.5 squares here. 4.5 squares would be around 22 millimeter. So we are going to take the longitudinal, put it to other, and put some 22.5 millimeter. Going the wrong side, then you put a minus in front. And now you can go check further to see how much it needs to come back. It would be around 0.8 millimeter, so 2170 somewhere. Okay. Doesn't need to be that exact, but it's always nice to have it on the right spot. So that one is now already set. It maybe needs another shift. I'm going to take a look here now. Okay, so it's already here, but it's not on its correct spot. It's still a half the width that needs to move, plus some playroom between the floor and the plate. So half the width is 7.5 millimeter, and we want some play of 5 millimeter. So it's a 12.5. We are going to add here 12.5. So you see, it has positioned itself now, and you have a small gap here between your floor and your cover plate. The next and the final piece that we need to create is the lower cover plate here, to cover up the ceiling and the plate. The system is the same. We are going to use an intermediate newel post and get it into position. We go to the 2D, we zoom out, we reach around the middle, add a newel post, so take around the middle and click. We have an intermediate newel post. We're going to make it again rectangular. The width is going to be now the same as the lower rail on top, 70. No, it's the other one, it's the other side, 70. And the length we will take around the same, 1527.5. Now it's positioning. The base height would be the lower floor, which is sitting on 2200, but we will give it a thickness of 10 millimeter. So it's 2190 for the base height. The top height will be 2200. That gives a total height of 10 millimeter. We are going also to do the movement. 900 to get it on its position. Half the thickness if we wanted to get it beside it, but that's not what we want. So what we see by 900, you're centering correctly. So that means that it's already positioning correctly. We apply, we say OK. Now we are going to check the shift, because it's not on its right spot for the moment. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4 squares of 10 millimeters, so a shift of 40. We select the item, and we do a shift of 40. It's a little too much, but we can zoom further in so that we can go more precise. is about 1.8. Let's say 38.2. A little more. 0.5. Okay, 38.5 it is. Acknowledge. Now we are going to look at the 3D. Now we can see that the lower rail has been added to finish the lower part with the ceiling and the cover plate. Now what you could do is, because you have to groove your newels and you have to groove your lower rail and eventually groove also a little this covering plate, we can change dimensions. So we just select it, and let's say that you want to groove it for 10 millimeter in this newel, 10 millimeter in this newel. We will add 20 millimeter to its length. So it will be here 47 instead of 27. To the top side, we will say that we also penetrate 10 millimeter. So the top will be 2510. And the base, we will enter here only a few millimeters, because that's a 10 millimeter. Let's say that we enter this low rail by 3 millimeters. That will be 2197. You see here by the selecting shape that it is penetrating in every item. This will not be on your technical documentation, so that is something that you will have to add manually on. But by exporting your stair in a 2D DXF, you can make your measurements and see clearly where you have to do your work. So that's all, it's finished. This is how you can get a balustrade in the correct size for your stair. Thank you for watching this video.